I'm 15 seconds early, so. But good morning. Oh, that sounds so good. I've met a few, but in case somebody is here today that I have never met, my name is John. I'm privileged to be the lead pastor of this amazing church, and we are very grateful that you're here. And especially if you are, you would consider this a first or a near first time visit. And to show our gratitude, we have a gift for you, and it looks like what you see on the screen. And it is simply our way of saying thank you for coming. We knew you had options of things to do today, and yet you chose to be here. And you can pick that gift up when you leave this main sanctuary. You just go out the doors, you look to the left, you'll see that desk and that big welcome sign, and you simply say, I'm new today and I understand there's a gift for me. We won't make you do anything, sign anything. It's just a gift. But if you would like to leave us some information, whether you regularly attend or you are new and you just want to let us know who you are, or you have something going on in your life you want us to know about, a prayer request, something that you're celebrating, you have a question, you want to, things like, you want to be baptized, or you want to know more about church membership, or just so many things that you can use those cards. You see them in the rows that you're sitting. You can pick one up, fill it out, and leave that either in the donation boxes or at the information desk. Very important announcement, and as I say this, I recognize we try to communicate in all kinds of different ways. And what I am told from time to time is that what I say from this platform is sometimes, well, I didn't know that was happening. So here's this very important announcement. If you are new or newish, or you have never been to a Pizza with the Pastor, that is today after the morning service. And you can still come, and just a couple things about it. There's no charge for this. And we use it as an opportunity to get to know each other a little bit better. We're trying very hard to be what we would call an intentional church. And that is that we have a mission, a reason that we think we exist, and we have a certain culture, which I'll talk about a bit later, and we have leadership, and we have the way we operate as a church, all of those kinds of things, the things that you don't necessarily see in a Sunday morning service, but you're curious about, and you'll get to know my wife Brenda and me a little bit better as well, and we'll get to know you better. Now, during the break, and what is the break? The break is our meet and greet moment. I would really encourage you to also not only meet and greet people, but to go and out into the lobby, and there is a sign-up desk, and it'll say Pizza with the Pastor. Please put your name on that. You still have time to get in on this, but it'd be the worst thing in the world if we planned for 20 and 40 came and we only had ordered pizza for 20. So that's why we're asking you to sign up. And with that, I'm going to invite you to stand as we go into God's incredible presence, into His goodness and His love and His mercy, and to receive all that He would offer for us today. So let's bless the Lord, and let's be blessed as we do.
Yeah, before we sing, just feel free to worship God how you feel this morning. If that's dancing, if that's just standing quietly, if that's, kneeling down to pray. We just want you to feel welcome to just express yourself how you okay not to be okay. We're going to sing about the consistency and trustworthiness of God and how He provides for us and He cares for us. So I just encourage you just to give yourself, give those burdens to Him this morning and just worship Him for who He is. At your name, the mountains shake and crumble. At your name, the oceans roar and tumble. At your name, angels bow.
In the 121st Psalm, the writer says, I look to the mountains. But where does my help come from? It doesn't come from the mountains. My help comes from the Lord who made heaven and earth. And he will not let you stumble. And the one who watches over you will not slumber. God will be attentive to us in our deepest moments, our darkest moments, our most frightening moments. He will not slumber, and he won't let us stumble. Let's go to prayer together. Father, as we stand before you today, as a complex group of people, different ages, income brackets, nationalities, cultures, upbringings, and different stages in our walk with you. And yet in that complexity, you see us as your bride, your church. You see us as an entity that proclaims your goodness to our community and beyond. You see us as a bride that is being prepared, being refined. And yet you see us as individuals, knowing the very hairs that are numbered on our heads. As you count the stars and you name them, you have named us. You've known us even before our births. And that tells us that nothing that we go through is unaware to you. But it gets even better than that, because you just don't look with a passing interest or an indifference, but you look intently upon a people that you love and you cherish. And so I pray today for those that are in those dark times, those fearful times, that you'll bring comfort to our hearts, peace to our souls, joy to our spirits, that will surpass all understanding. It's beyond rationalization. Can't explain it, don't know why it is. But you have invaded our lives with your presence, and has given us a confidence, and it has given us a hope. And then I pray, because there are needs represented today, financial, physical, relational, emotional, every spectrum. I pray by your great riches and glory that those needs will be met profoundly, extravagantly, overflowingly, because you are generous, and it is true that our cup runs over with your blessing. May that be the experience of many and all today. In the name of your incredible Son, Jesus, who gave up everything for us, who became poor that we might become rich in every way. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen and amen. Now, before you're seated, we do this little thing. Now, if you're new, you don't have to do it. You can stay where you are. You can bury your head in your hands so nobody sees you. But we do this thing. It's called a meet and greet. And people are going to come by. They're going to shake your hands. They're going to hug your neck. And they're going to let you know how glad they are that you're here. So let's spend a little time doing that.
since hockey season's over, I can give you a hug now.
Yeah.
Well, it's over for us anyway.
Yeah, I haven't really watched it since. It's the tears. Okay. Well, friends, if you can find your seats soon, I'd appreciate it. So, okay. So, okay. All right. As the room is quieting down, I'm going to, especially for those that maybe weren't here in time for the announcements, I'm going to repeat this one because and a bit of a reminder for anyone that's interested. Pizza with the Pastor is immediately after the service today, and it is especially for those that are new or newish to the church, and you're curious about some of the inner workings, why we do what we do, why we exist as a church. We believe we have a mandate that is unique, and you get to know Brenda and I a little bit better. Brenda and me, I guess is correct. And we get to know you a little better. There is no charge for this, but we have a sign-up sheet in the lobby, and so I want you to come. If you've never been to one of these before, but please go out to the lobby and sign up now, because we haven't ordered the pizza yet, but once we see the final names, the final number, then we're going to order. But, and they're probably going to want to order fairly soon. So that's that. Now, one of the things we talk about as a church, we actually say it every week, and I'm surprised how often it gets quoted back to me, is something that is about our culture, our collective, these are relational values. They're not necessarily spiritual, because, well, where's prayer in this, or Bible reading? These are only how we interact with each other as a community of people. And we say that we gel. It's an acronym. That we journey together, we encourage, and we love. We have so many ministries that have evolved over the past couple of years, and their intention is not just to do a program, but to get to know each other in a better setting, to interact and to hear the stories and the trials and the celebrations, all of these things. And so it can be, and I'm just trying to randomly think, for example, well, we don't have it tonight. We have about a dozen of our youth that are at Trossachs Camp for a joint youth retreat with some other churches. We're actually very excited. We didn't have a youth ministry a year ago. But we did have a van, and everybody else was renting our van. Well, we finally got to say, no, you can't rent our van because our van is full with ECOG teens, and they're going to the retreat. So actually, that's really good news. You can clap for that. It's okay. So, phenomenal leaders, and with that, we have evolved, and we now have a full-time next generation pastor in Lori Medwood, and she's down with the small children this morning. But great volunteers in both our children and in our teen ministries. So that's an example. Ladies' Bible study is on Tuesdays, and on Tuesday nights, Emotions Anonymous happens here. We don't lead it, but we do have people that are part of our church that do lead it. And that's open to anyone for the community that struggles with their emotions, or their emotions more overcome them than they overcome their emotions, however it's defined. Wednesday mornings, we have our seniors group, and they do games, and they do puzzles, and they talk, and they visit, and their lives intertwine. Thursday nights, we have a Know and Grow class, and it's kind of another way of saying, if you're familiar with the term disciple, if you're new in your faith or you have very little understanding of your faith, it's a great opportunity. It's a great mix of people who have been Christians for many years and those that are just brand new and are curious and have the best questions. And we've been going through the series The Chosen, and then we have interactive questions after. So it's another example of what we do as a church. All of that to say that these are for opportunities that we can journey together. Now, and we encourage each other, because there are days that we need it. There's days that we really need to be encouraged. Maybe we're just tired, we're exhausted, and the way words have a way of healing us and building us and lifting us up, so we make that more and more intentional of being a part of our vocabulary with each other. And then we love one another. And some days are easier than others. Some days we feel more loved or unloved or unlovable. And this community is one that steps up, and I'm going to use that word again, intentionally. We find ways to surround you, to hug you, to affirm you in the same way that Christ has loved us. So this is a part of who we're trying to be as a church. Not just week in, week out, but day in and day out. I would be remiss if I did not thank you, and sincere gratitude for your giving and for your generosity, because your generosity is a reflection of God's generosity. God has been so generous to us, and so when you are generous through your giving of not only your treasure, but your time and your talents, you are reflecting a character of God. Thank you for that. There are offering envelopes in your row if you would ever like to use one. A lot of people give electronically to our church email address, but you can also give using those envelopes. That way you'll get a tax receipt, and there are offering boxes beside the doors as you exit. At the end of the service today, we are going to introduce our newly elected church leaders. We do have quite a few of them missing today, or a considerable percentage, vacation or just weekend retreats, a lot of different things, but we have expanded as a church. We had a leadership team of really 3 at Church and Pastors Council, and now between our 3 boards, our directors, our elders, and our deacons, we have a leadership team, I believe, of 18, which is another thing that you should be clapping for, because it is a phenomenal development for our church. What it does is it highlights the strength that is in this church, but also I believe that it prepares us for what is yet to come, for our impact in our community and beyond. We were talking this morning before the service, and just did a random thing, and I do this a lot with people, but I ask, how are you doing today on a scale of 1 to 10, everybody was at least an 8.5, and quite a few hovering around 10. And I just kind of said, well, for me, my body feels like it's about a 3, but my heart is a 10. And we have days like that, don't we? We've just had so much going on as a family. Last weekend, we moved Brenda's dad, Phil Sigelco, from his home that he's had for a number of years, he and Mom, and we moved him into a senior's home called the Mulberry in Moose Jaw. A lot of emotion goes with that. It's not just the physical lifting of furniture, but it's, in some ways, you leave a piece of yourself behind. Many of you know that experience, and so we have gone through that. Had a very, I'm going to say a very challenging funeral this week of a young a baby that was born at 20 weeks, and I was asked to officiate that, and I've said to a few of you, I hope I never have to see a father carrying his daughter in her coffin again, ever. So it's been tough. It's been that kind of a week for me. And I'm so grateful that you pray for Brenda and me. Anytime, people just can walk into my office if I'm there, and you just never know exactly what day's gonna bring. And then on Friday night and Saturday, we were in Moose Jaw for the Church of God Provincial Convention, stayed at the Grant Hall, very nice hotel. And but I was standing around with some of the other pastors, and we were all talking, and for some reason, we got on to what we thought was the greatest invention ever introduced to mankind. And one of them said, well, they thought the combustion engine was. It's like it has revolutionized. Is that a word, revolutionized? I don't think it is. Revolutionized. We'll get past it. Anyway, mankind, it's brought in the industrial age. Another said, well, I think it's the airplane. I mean, look what we can do in a matter of hours. And we can be across the continent. And these guys are all very smart guys, and I thought, well, I better say something really good. So I said, well, I think it's the thermos jug. And they said, the thermos jug? Well, I said, what do you mean thermos jug? All a thermos jug does is it keeps hot things hot and cold things cold. And I said, I know, but how does it know? Must be time for another raise. I promise you, if you paid me more, you'd get better jokes. Well, the last raise you gave me, I've spent all that money, so anyway. You can use that one at work tomorrow if you want. So we've been doing this series in the month of May called Living a Life That Matters. And this is because when we live a life that matters, and I think all of us have some level of aspiration for that. We don't want to be living a life that's ignored, a life that was inconsequential. When people stand at our funerals, they will talk about the impact we've made. And I think we have opportunity, and I think we have calling, and all of us have potential to make a deep impact in an impressionable world. I think we're still looking for heroes, people to emulate, people to look up to, pattern our lives after. This is why social media is so wrought with influencers. Podcasts. We have our favorite podcasts that we listen to, and they influence us. And yet, you don't have to have a podcast or a Twitter account or a Facebook account to have a deep impact. And today specifically, we are going to talk about facing your challenges with poise and faith. How to inspire others through your adversities. Now, I'll come to this again in a bit, but you see, we often think, well, it's the easy life. It's the rich life, it's the affluent life that is what impresses people. And maybe to a certain degree we would. I mean, you just kind of think, wouldn't it be great to have that money, to have that fame, to have those houses, to have your own private jet, and not necessarily realizing all of the heartache that goes with it. But I think that there is an even better way, a deeper way to impact people. And I'm sure you have noticed from time to time, especially in deep crisis, how some people walk through those unthinkable pains. And yet they do it with this quiet strength that makes others stop and take notice. Some of us, on the other hand, when adversity comes, small or big, we will complain about it, we'll be bitter about it. We will look for sympathy about it. You know, it's like a Facebook post. I'm mad at somebody and they know what they did. And everybody's, okay, well, what's that about? So we have those, a certain way that we can influence people. And when they're going through that deep trial, they don't fake a smile, but they don't fall apart either. They struggle, but they don't let the struggle define them. And somehow watching them gives us hope that we can make it too. Whatever strength they have, we envy it in a good way. We aspire to it. Say, if they can get through that, I can get through what I'm going through. Because pain, when it's faced with honesty and with faith, doesn't just shape you, it has the power to shape others. As someone once said, out of suffering has emerged the strongest of souls. The most massive characters are seared with scars. So today we're talking about how you can face your own challenges with this poise and this faith, and how doing so doesn't just help you survive, it actually inspires others to live better and braver lives. And I know a lot of us are going to be at that stage, I just want to survive it. I don't want this to crush me, to kill me, to destroy me. I want to make it through. And I get it. I get it, and I'm with you. But what we don't realize is that when we are able to come through those hardships with faith and with poise, it not only helps us, but it inspires the people that are around us. And so there's this example from the scriptures that I want to take you to a little bit. And in order to do that, we would have to go back in time about 2,500 years to about 500 BC. And it's a story of a man whose name is Daniel. And specifically Daniel chapter 6. Now the thing about Daniel is that by the time we get to chapter 6, he's not a young boy anymore. He's an old man. He's about 80 years old. And the way this story unfolds, you can probably go to the next slide, I think. Thanks. The way this story unfolds is that he was taken as a boy from Jerusalem to Babylon, which is probably about 850 kilometers away. Sure, he walked on foot, wouldn't have been horseback. Would have taken 4 to 6 months to get there as a young boy. And all of this time, and it was a forced captivity. It wasn't an extended vacation. And I explain these stories a little bit. I take the time to do it because some people here are going to hear this story for the very first time. And some of us, we have read it many times, but we kind of gloss over it, and we don't fully appreciate the deep impact, how real life these people were enduring. And anyway, he was taken there, and now he's 80 years old, and he's well thought of. There's a king of Babylon. His name is Darius, and he's ruling all over the Persian Empire. But because of Daniel's wisdom and his integrity, he's really set apart. And Darius plans to promote him over the entire kingdom. He's going to be his number 2 guy. But with that comes some jealousy by other leaders. And I'm sure they're second-guessing Darius. This guy isn't even one, he's not even a Persian, he's a Hebrew. Can't you pick someone better, someone like us? So they set this trap. And they come to Darius the king and they basically say, we want you to make a rule that nobody can pray to anyone, any other god except to you. And I guess this just kind of appeals to Darius's ego, and he agrees to it, and he signs an edict. Now here's the thing, is that in that culture, in that time, when that edict was signed, he couldn't unsign it. That's just the way it's going to be. He had the power to make a law, but he didn't have the power to break a law. Seems like our politics are a little different now. And I'll leave it with that. So, he does this. And when they do it, they have Daniel in mind. What's he going to do? Well, what he does is he does what he always does. He goes home. He knows about this decree. And he prays, just like he had before. Nothing changed for him. The circumstances did not change his behavior. Okay, now what's going to happen? There are consequences. Sometimes there are consequences when we do bad and we do wrong, and sometimes there are consequences when we do right and we do good. Daniel was faithful to his God, and he acted accordingly, and he was thrown into a pit of lions. Now, these were not sedated lions. They were lions with big teeth and big claws and big muscles that could tear people apart. And Darius is just heartbroken because he can't break the law. He can't change it. He's just now got to suffer the consequences of his own vanity. And so as Daniel is in this pit, he says, may your God whom you serve continually rescue him. And then he goes to a very sleepless night, and in the next morning he rushes to this pit. And he says, Daniel, are you still alive? And he is, because God has shut the mouths of the lions. Now, how does this kind of play out in today's message? Well, it does because it is not just that God shut the mouths of the lions and preserved Daniel's life for doing right. This had an impact on the king, on Darius. And he issues a public decree of honoring Daniel's God. You see how when you face an adversity with poise and with faith, that it can inspire, it can touch people. So let's talk about these two words, faith and poise or perseverance. Now, I do tell you this probably almost every week, but The Bible that you and I read, whether it's in book form or it's on an app or a tablet or your laptop, we read it according to what our natural language is. And for those of us that are English, we read it in English, but we make this presumption. And that presumption is that when the Bible was originally written, it was written in our language and with our cultural filter. But that's not well, it's not the case. And the Old Testament was written in Hebrew, and the New Testament was largely written in Greek with a little bit of Aramaic. So these words, the Old Testament word for faith, what it really means is not just believing something in your head, but in the Hebrew mindset, it means a steadiness and a reliability. And it almost paints a picture of a tent peg driven deep into the ground. And so when winds blow, the tent stays stable because the tent pegs were driven in so deeply. That's really the image of faith for you and I. And when we have that tent peg driven deeply into the ground, the winds will blow, but we will remain safe and secure. Our faith, that tent peg, holds us in place. So that's what faith looks like. It's an anchor. Now, the other word is what the New Testament Christians would have understood, and that's perseverance. And it literally means to remain under, to hold steady under pressure instead of running away. So it's not the absence of the trial, it's not the absence of the pressure, it's actually having this capacity, this inner resource to stay put while the pressure is happening to us. It's not about pretending everything's okay. It's about calm and steady endurance in the face of fear. Just a little side note here. Any of us that have gone through grief know that we go through stages of grief. And quite often, almost always, when you have lost someone close, and if I call you or somebody calls you, they'll think, boy, they're sure holding it together well. Well, because in that early stage of grief, sometimes it's not that the resources are there. Sometimes it's just that we haven't quite figured it out. We're still not sure this is real. And we remain calm until the gravity of it hits us. And then grief and tears and pain and anguish begin to set in. So the question is, can we have this tears and pain and anguish and at the same time have perseverance? Can we remain steady under the pressure? Well, this is really, when Daniel was in his crisis, that's what he did. He really didn't know that he was going to be rescued. He had no idea. But that wasn't going to change his behavior, the way he lived and the way he thought. As a matter of fact, if you go into the book of Hebrews, not everybody was rescued. Some did die violently because of their faith. But I think they all had that same perseverance. And that's where real growth happens, is in those pressure points. Albert Einstein, the famous physicist, said, in the middle of difficulty lies opportunity. And what are those opportunities? It's like, am I being callous about pain? I'm not. I'm just saying that if once you take a step back or away, or the season has passed, you can look back and say, I knew God was with me. I felt his presence. God made me stronger because of it. It became a witness or a testimony to others. See, a lot of times when we use this word testimony, we say, well, tell me your testimony. And what we're essentially asking is, tell me the story about how you came to know Jesus. And a lot of us, the gorier the story, the better we like it, and the bigger crowds we draw, and the more speaking opportunities we get. Well, part of our testimony is what God did with us and for us in the journey. And the older I get, the more I think my testimony should not be about me, but about God. Not what I have done, but what God is doing. So my testimony is not about John, my testimony is about Christ, the one who gave himself for me. So, Daniel's opportunity wasn't obvious. It actually came looking like a disaster. And it was at that place of pressure that his witness shined the brightest, his testimony. So let me give you 3 principles here. Number 1, your character is louder than your circumstances. How you respond in adversity reveals who you really are. And others are watching, not to judge, but to be inspired, to find strength in their own battles. So that's number 1. Number 2, faith doesn't eliminate fear. It anchors you through it. If we're going to be honest, it's okay to say, I was afraid, but God saw me through. Let's not just measure our lives by the calm seas and the winds at our back. The times when we feel good, the times we feel at peace. But let's also know that in those times when we were the most afraid, we had an inner resource and it held us firm, like the tent peg. So, Daniel didn't know the outcome, but he stayed steady. And number 3, your story can shape someone else's courage. When King Darius saw Daniel's poise and he saw his faith, he praised Daniel's God. So don't underestimate how your quiet resilience could help someone else find hope. Now, this whole series has been rooted in the book of James, and we're coming close to the end here. Now, for those that are just coming in and you maybe don't know this, and some of you have heard this every week, is James was the half-brother of Jesus. They obviously didn't have the same father. And, well, I shouldn't say obviously because, well, I didn't know that. Why didn't they have the same father? Well, James's father was Joseph, and Jesus' father was God. Same mother, different fathers. And he was not an early adopter. He didn't see the miracles and the teaching and say, boy, this is the Messiah. This is the one we've been looking for, waiting for all these years. Matter of fact, it's like they almost just, I don't know what's wrong with this guy. He's half crazy. Let's take him home and lock him up. It wasn't until after Jesus rose from the dead that he became a follower. But he not only became a follower, he became a leader, an iconic leader in the church, the broad church at that time. And so he writes this letter. It's called a pastoral letter. And he writes it to these Christians that are going through difficult times. It's not an easy time for them. They're being persecuted. Their lives are being threatened. Their lives are being turned upside down. They have to run for their lives. They can't keep their jobs or their property. It's chaos for them. And what James teaches them is that if anything, a meaningful life isn't found in ease. It's found in endurance. And so he writes in James chapter 1, consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. I'll read that once more. Consider it pure joy, My brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance, or poise. It's that same word. It's that choice to be faithful under pressure. So really what he's saying is that our challenges, they're not detours from a life that matters. They're part of it. They're a part that shapes us. When we look, if we're going to have an influential life that matters, we go through the hard times with this faith and this poise. So friends, don't waste your struggle. Let it grow you. Let it deepen you. Let it shape you into being the person that God wants you to be and the person that inspires others, a life that matters. So just a few more things to give to you. Just because the question may be, how do I get to that point? I don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. Tomorrow could bring a disaster. How am I going to handle that? How will I react? Well, to get to that place with faith and poise, anchor your habits before the storm hits. Be a person of prayer in communication with God. Be a person that knows and that understands the scriptures. Make it a part of your daily habits. Be a person in community. Not in isolation, but in community. This is a great community to be a part of. Be a person that practices generosity. It's one of the great accelerators of spiritual growth is generosity. And the second thing is, the first one is anchor your habits. The second is, let your light shine even though your story is unfinished. Probably almost all of us in this room have something messy about our lives, something messy about our past, or something messy right now. But that doesn't disqualify us from being a people of example. And we don't need to have a happy ending to make a difference. We admit our struggles and we keep going. And we give others the permission to do the same. Now that's powerful. Stacy, would you come back to the piano, please? I appreciate that. So now we come to our closing, what we call our come to Jesus moment. And in our come to Jesus moment, it is when we have heard information and now we have to make a decision about it, often a life-changing decision. And this comes in two layers. Now, the first layer, I guess, is that you may not feel heroic. You don't feel you've done a good job of handling adversity. You would say, I wouldn't define my reaction with faith and poise. I would say it has been more fear and ranting, I guess. So you may not feel heroic. And you might even feel like you're barely holding on. But if you're walking through something hard, and there are many here that are, and you're doing it with honesty and hope and humility, you are already inspiring other people. You're not perfect, but you're still an inspiration. And here's the second part, the deepest truth. And this may be because perhaps you've been coming here for quite a while. You've never crossed an emotional, an intellectual, a spiritual line where you are fully committed to the Jesus who is fully committed to you. You're still trying to make it on your own. You're still trying to earn the points by being a good person, but you can never quite be good enough. You're not sure if it's a tally, if you're in the pluses or the negatives. You're not sure the ladder you're trying to climb is even against the right wall. Well, that's why God gave us Jesus. He made the sacrifice that we couldn't make. And he did so out of God's love for us, God's commitment to us, God's desire for us to have a full, restored, healed life, and also an eternal life. So I'm saying that to get to this point as we just about finish up here. You are not alone. The same God who stood with Daniel offers to stand with you. Regardless of where you're at. Whether you've known Jesus for years and you're still trying to do it on your own, or right now you have more questions than you have answers about following Jesus. Jesus never promised a life without trouble. Matter of fact, he said, in this world you're going to have trouble. But in Hebrews chapter 13, verse 5, it says, I will never leave you or forsake you. So maybe today is your day to take the step. Not towards a religious system with rules, but with a relationship that restores. And for someone, it might be this simple little prayer. Jesus, if you're real, I need you. And I don't want to face this alone anymore. So no matter how deep the waters are, if they're up to your neck and you feel like they're going to your chin, know this, that you are loved and you are not alone, and he is waiting for you with open arms, because that's the way he is, and he's given us the power to live a life that matters. Let's bow our heads together. I don't often do this, but if you would just raise your hand today, if any of this fits, if any of it strikes home, that the waters have been pretty deep and you're struggling and you're not sure you're winning. Or you've gone through life without Jesus and you see him as maybe your only hope, your last hope, to bring sense, to bring healing, to bring hope. If any of us in this room fit either of those categories, I invite you to raise your hand so that I can pray for you. I'm not going to point you out. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate that. And for anyone that has raised their hands, I'm going to invite them. They can do a few things. One is after the service is over, if you would like prayer, I invite you to come to the front and somebody's going to pray for you. The other is, if you want to call me, if you want to come to my office, we can spend some time together, because I am committed to journeying with you like this whole church is. So, Father, as we have been here, a lot of hands have been raised today, and I appreciate that honesty so much, so deeply. it says to me these are incredibly courageous people just to get to that point. So I pray blessing on them. I pray that you'll fill their hearts with peace and joy and this deep awareness of your love for them. I pray that that raising of their hand is the first and the most dynamic step of the journey. That there's going to be conclusion. But not just conclusion, but their testimony of your working in their lives will be an inspiration to the people around them. That will give them hope, will give them courage because of the courage of the people in this room. I pray and ask this in the name of Jesus, your Son. Amen. So, dear friends, before we go to this next phase, I know it seems a little anticlimactic, but I did want to do this. I want to remind you, on behalf of Brenda and me, how much we love you, how grateful we are to be a part of this church, that you have allowed us to come, journey and shepherd and lead and all of the things you allow us to do, but that we get to spend these years with you. We are grateful and probably somewhat undeserving people of that honor, so we love you very much for giving us that honor. So, as we move on now, on May the 4th, and I know some of there'll be that Star Wars joke. Anyway. We had our annual general meeting. It is something that we are required to do, and I think it's just a good, healthy practice to communicate to our congregation any ups or downs. And we also, this time, we made a major change of restructuring our leadership that was approved by the congregation, by the members. And with that, we divided, as I've already said, from a single pastor's council to 3 different boards. Now, these boards do different things. The board of directors gives oversight to this church as a legal entity. We have this legal standing with the province and with the government of Canada, and they, as the board of directors, they protect us to make sure we are running well and ethically and according to the responsibilities that we're asked to do. And so I'm going to ask, I did ask them if they would come to the front so people will know, because if I just ask them to stand and they're in the back like I see one of them, they're just, so I'm going to ask our directors if they would come to the front, and I'm going to be happy to introduce them. Now, not all are here. As a matter of fact, I think 2 are missing for sure. 3 are missing today. Half of them are here, but they're the good-looking half. I'm going to give them the mic. I'm going to let them introduce themselves, and whatever they say, I'm not responsible for it.
That's good. My name's Scott Jackson, and just happy to be of service and to help out in any way I can on the board, and to bring a bit of experience, business experience, and ministerial experience as well. And greatly honored that I've been selected, and just excited about the future of this local congregation.
Barry Aspinall. I'm probably the oldest member here, just about, I bet. Been on church member since I was, I don't know, probably 15 years old, and I'm a lot older than that now. Anyway, I'm excited to do what I'm doing, or serving with these people who are on the board, who love the Lord, and they love this church, and they love this community. And we look forward to directing this church in the future.
Keith Madu and my lovely wife, Angel. I'm just going to take a moment here. This is a big moment for me, joining this board. I've chased my whole life what I'm going to call the rat race of the world. So went to university, got a degree, all these ideas of how I want to get into leadership in the world, climb the corporate ladder. Things always don't go as planned, just like life is. Landed up getting a journeyman's ticket, and basically I've made a career and a family and a home off my hands. And I've loved it. I have no regrets, but it's never been my passion. And even now I'm taking a program through distance learning, and I've always wanted to be in a leadership role, dealing with legal matters, financial matters, being with a group, leading a group. But I honestly was just lost. And it was just funny, but it's God turned a light bulb on me. I was chasing squirrels, and he gave me a light bulb moment. And I just didn't know what to do. So I contacted John, and I'll give a plug for John here. When he says his office door is open and he's there for you, that is the truth. I've been to his office a couple times, and he's there. Great advice. And I literally went to John, and I printed off my resume. And I says, this is what I got. I want to, instead of chasing the ladder of corporate, what can I do for this church or for this community? And I says, this is my resume. This is what I've done. This is what I know. Here's my life experiences. Can you help me? And John, right away, because they were working on this new structure of the church, offered me, would you be interested in this board of directors? And again, it's like another light bulb, and not a squirrel. And I just want to thank the church for giving me this opportunity. I really feel like this is a new stage in my life. I want to thank John for when he says he's there to support. He's been there great for me. And I want to thank God for getting that light bulb turned on me, and I'm really hoping to take my training, my experience, my knowledge, and my love of God in this new direction and serve this board and serve this church. So thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you. Two other things about these gentlemen besides they're taller than me, that's why I had to stand up here, is they are the ones that I am directly responsible to. They are, in a sense, as a single board, they are my boss. They also give financial oversight to the church, so they have very important roles, and we're grateful to have them, and I'm very excited about the next level for our church. I don't want to belabor it, but I kind of had this it was my reputation, probably nobody knew it, but I did, that I could build things very quickly, but then I couldn't keep them together. And so I often watch things grow and then die and grow and die because I was trying to do it all myself. And it was when we moved to Winnipeg and we began to build this inner city mission, somehow I figured out I need to have a board that have been where I want to be, that they are smarter and they're stronger. They know way more things than I do that I would be accountable to. And then it moved to this iconic organization that it is. This board of directors is also going to be that for us. The next ones I'm going to invite are the board of elders to come. And again, we do have some that are missing. But those that are our board of elders, would you please come? And we want to do the same thing. See, John and Lorene Turco they are in the States, and Colleen Schindel has had a brand new grandbaby, and so she's in Alberta, I think. And Heather, I don't know where Heather is, but I know they're away. They're rarely away, but they are. So, would you like to introduce yourself?
No, I'm gonna pass it down here first.
Good morning. Well, John approached me a while back about becoming an elder of the church, and he asked me the other night when he had our first meeting. He said, "Why did you decide to become part of our elders team?" And I said, "Well, number one, you came over when I was vulnerable, and then you twisted my arm." That's the truth. But it wasn't that at all. I have a genuine love for this church. I've attended this church since I was probably about 15 years old, before this sanctuary was here in our living room. Before the place was actually finished, I started attending. So I've attended here for a long time. I love this church. I love the people. And I felt like I've been in other roles in the church. My wife and I were part of the youth when we were younger, when we had young kids. And then I always served, I think, 13 years on the council here as well. And then when John approached me, I just felt that, the council side of things probably didn't fit me anymore. I was more spiritually led, I felt. And so the reason I accepted the position is because I actually, I want to see people flourish here. And I see the value in people. I love to see the good side of people, not the bad. So I love to encourage people. It's actually, that part's not for you, that's for me. I feel blessed when I encourage people. I don't know what it is, but it just makes me feel fulfilled when I'm able to see a smiling person and help them through things that they may be going through. So that's what I feel like my role is in this church, is if there are people here in our congregation or people that are actually new or whatever, I'd like to be that person that would be able to speak with people and help them through certain things that they're maybe going through, and just being a part of this congregation and watch us grow and grow in the Lord, and just be solid together. Did you want to say anything?
Hi, my name is Carol Jackson. It's been a real blessing. This past year, we moved from Ontario just over a year ago. And when we were there in Ontario, we were serving in a church with good friends of ours who are also our pastors back in Ontario. And we were serving there for 40 plus years. And a lot of those years, Scott and I were elders of the church. And we just loved, just being part of the church, seeing, the people growing. And when, just before we were leaving, there was a prophetic word that was spoken over us, and part of the word was that it was what we were going to experience here in Estevan was just going to be a continuation of what we, we're living out in Ontario. And I thought, well, how is that even going to look like? We don't even know, all the details of anything, but which was fine by me. But it was like when we came to this body, we just felt such love and welcome and very much a part in which we are. And when the opportunity came up, I just knew that this was something that the Lord wanted for me to enter into, and I just knew that this was something that the Lord was actually expanding my heart for the people here in Estevan, and also for this body of believers. Just to see you flourish, and I'm blessed. I'm very, very blessed to be in this position, and to be here and to serve you, and to love you and to pray for you. Thank you. Thank you, John.
That's okay. That's just in the eldership role. So I get to wear two hats, but I'm retired, so I have time. So that's not a problem. We're happy to serve. I'm like Perry. I'm a people person. I love people, and I like to hear people's stories and their challenges and their victories. And I just want to echo what John always says. we're available and we're more than happy to help and serve. And if you ever need just someone to talk to or somebody to go out for a coffee with and have a chat, we're more than happy to support you in that aspect and also to pray for you. As a congregation, we love you guys. There's so many wonderful people here, and we're really excited to see what God's doing in this local congregation.
Let me add very quickly a few more things about the role of the elders. They are, one of the ways you could think of them is like they are lay pastors here in our church and among us. They're going to be taking more of a public role in the service, a little bit like John the Baptist. They must increase and I must decrease. So there is that. I want you to see them and recognize them. They are, I look to them for spiritual guidance, ministries, and what's God saying to our church. Ultimately, it is the board of directors that make final decisions, but they are heavy influencers to me and to the board. And again, very grateful for the caliber of people that we have. The last will be the deacons, and I'm going to invite them to come. None of them are probably big talkers, but I do invite them. Tony, Ben, and Amy are here. Barry Barnstable is away. So, please. Oh, let me explain. Good. Okay. Amy, her role. Oh, Jerry, I'm sorry. Wow. I forgot the best looking one. Amy's role, I'll give her the mic back, is she is what is called ex officio. Because of her role as the ladies' ministry coordinator, we felt that she brings a unique voice to the deacons about the practical needs that they can help meet. Especially, if people are, say, more aged and they're having trouble with their snow shoveling, just practical things for people that are really in need, and they give care for this great facility. So, Amy, here we are.
I'm wondering if you were saying I'm ancient or something.
No, I wasn't saying you were.
I'm Amy Wetch. I am the women's coordinator, and when John had mentioned to me about being on this, I was actually felt quite honored to be part of it because I love this church. I've been here, I don't even know how many years, and I've been doing the women's ministry, and on Tuesdays I lead the ladies' Bible study, and I have such a heart for helping ladies. A lot has to do with my own past, so I really want to help women become who it is that God created them to be, and so I'm hoping by being on this board I can have my viewpoint as a woman, because I'm the only woman on the board, and yeah, that's it. And I'm not ancient.
I didn't know I had to do a speech, but yeah, my name is Jerry Van Roon, and I'm just new to the church, and when John approached me, I couldn't refuse the sad puppy eyes. So I'm just trying to help out.
Hi, I'm Ben Burns, and John approached me to do this. This is really not my forte, getting up here and speaking, but I think John did it because I kind of wrecked his retirement. When we were looking for a pastor, I'd see him in the restaurant after, and he'd tell me, "Oh, I'm done now." I said, "No, you're not." I had a feeling he was going to be back, and I said, "You'll be back." Well, yeah, a couple weeks later, he was back, and I'd see him in the restaurant again. He goes, I said, "So you're going to stay?" "Oh, no, I'm done now for sure." I said, "I don't think so." I said, "You're coming back." And he, "Oh, no." And then he came back, and I said, "Yeah." And then all of a sudden, he was here for good, which is good. Very loving man, him and his wife, and I'm just glad they're here. I started out in this church coming when I was a little guy, when it was on 4th Street, and I've kept coming. And I have to thank one man, his name is Ken Rain, that helped build this church. And without him, I wouldn't be here today, and I'm just glad that he mentored me when I was growing up and told me the things about God, or I'd be in a far worse place. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Tony Blondo. I now know how Daniel felt when he was thrown into the pit of lions. Thank you for the sermon, John, yeah, just looking forward to helping out our church. It's sort of my heart goes strong for the people at Sober Living. Great bunch of people, and I know they're going to help us in many ways. And I've also started up a program where there's offenders through the court system that you have 3 options: pay your fine, pay your volunteer time, or do time. And I'm giving them option B, where they can help us at the church by volunteering. And I'm having fun doing it. And I'm also one that kind of sits in the back row and listens to our sermon. And at the end of the sermon, I start that applause for John. And here you go, sir.
There we go. Clap for them. So. When you see how godly and how strong this leadership team is, you know that God has great things in store for this church. Be blessed. Hope those that are you're going to stay for Pizza with the Pastor. Love you very much. Have a great day.